Welcome back to Red Devils TV, and this is your Manchester United versus Copenhagen preview. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say from Red Devils TV, obviously we did do a bit of a tribute towards Sir Bobby Charlton, but the passing of Sir Bobby Charlton is a very, very tragic passing, and it's definitely going to put a lot of holes in the footballing world and Manchester United fans. And no doubt on this game, if you are going to the game at Old Trafford, Manchester United will accommodate and no doubt do some sort of tributes because it'll be our first home game since the passing of Sir Bobby Charlton. But yes, rest in peace, Sir Bobby Charlton. You're an absolute legend, and your passing has affected a lot of people. But Webby, I really appreciate you coming on again as always, and let's just get right into the video. How are you tonight?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Obviously, hard game last night. We made it hard for ourselves. We had to win the game, against a team they've lost 8, drawn 1. We knew it was going to be difficult, and I won't say we got away with it. We had enough chances to probably win 2 games at the end, but 3 points was what was needed, to carry on from the Brentford game. We've got to get on a run now. We've got to get like 4 or 5, 6 victories, to push it up the table. But
yeah,
hard game, but it's all about results, and we got it in the end. So, do you know what I mean? I wasn't too happy about the performance. I just thought some of the players we looked lacklustre. We looked tired after the international break. We wasn't getting amongst them. You're not going to get Sheffield United. They'll be right in your face. You know what I mean? I looked at that game the other week against Newcastle, and if you've not seen the game 8-0, you think, wow. But the first 10, 15 minutes, it was Sheffield United till Newcastle scored, and then they got the second one. So very hard 3 points in the end of the day, but we've got them. So we'll move on to Tuesday now with a victory.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And like you said, it was a very difficult game against Sheffield United. They were never going to be that easy, and they have proven to be difficult for teams like Newcastle in the first 15 minutes. Like you said, they give City a bit of a tough going as well. So obviously they did lose to City, but again they just give it a tough game. And Sheffield United, yes, they're seen as a yo-yo team in the Premier League fan base, but I just think that it's never easy to go to Bramall Lane, especially against a Sheffield United team who are desperate to get a win. And when they've got these big teams coming to their ground, no doubt they do want to try and get a victory. But obviously, that's the past, and now we look on to the future. And all or nothing is all I have to say is about this game, because if we don't win this game against Copenhagen on Tuesday, I can say we could probably kiss the Champions League goodbye for the season and probably for another season, because the way our form has currently been, I can't see us challenging for top 4 anytime soon. So what are your thoughts on this game, Webby?
No, you're right. Obviously, it's not started well. You've got to win your own games. A Galatasaray game. And I go to the fact that at 2-2, Casemiro shouldn't bring him down, let him go through. And you've got 20 minutes left with 11 versus 11. If it was a young lad, maybe a bit naive by jumping in. But obviously, Casemiro, with all the experience he's got, he's played in massive games all over the world and got to jump in. But there's no point crying about that. It's against a tough. What you get with these European teams like Copenhagen, it's going to be tough. We've got to be patient. He's got to pick the right team. If we scored a last-minute winner and it's an own goal or whatever, it's impediment that we win this game, because even if we win the game, depending on the other results, it's going to be hard to qualify. You've got to win your own games and probably maybe one defeat and maybe pick up an away win or a draw away from home. But we've got, like you're saying, it's all or nothing. It's all or nothing. So he's got to pick the right team. Then obviously, does the derby on Sunday come into his thinking about picking the team? It can't be really, because, like you're saying, we've waited so long to get back in the Champions League, and if we go out in the damp squid, which it could happen, and like you're saying, it's going to be so hard to get in that top 4 this year, because teams have got better, squads have got bigger. You know what I mean? So, I'm not going to come on here on any channel, my own channel, saying I'm going to win the Champions League, because I'd be a fool to say it. But when we got that group, we had to be happy with it, and that's no disrespect to the other 3 teams. Bayern Munich aren't the Bayern Munich there was a few years ago. They might have got Harry Kane, who's a great player, but they're not the same team as he was. And it was down for United to make a marker, not just in the group and in the Champions League, and we've made it hard for ourselves. So it's a must-win Tuesday, must-win.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And like I said, it's a must-win, and that's how I feel as well, because if we don't win then I would pretty much say we will kiss the Champions League goodbye, and it would be on to the Europa League being our best bet. But as a United fan, I'm sick to death of that Europa League music. It does my absolute head in. So, if we was to drop down to the Europa League, would you rather that happen, or would you prefer something like us to just not get European for the rest of the season?
Yeah, don't want that. Don't want that Thursday, Sunday. You know, we've had it for too long now. It's hard. You know what I mean? I don't think any team who's been in the Europa League have challenged for the title. I might be wrong, but no, I'd rather be out of it. You know, it's not for us, but you get what you deserve. You know what I mean? And you know, United with the way going on recently is that we probably come third when we want to come out of the Europa League. But like I say, it's a cup. You know, we won it to complete the jigsaw under Jose. I was there in Gothenburg when we beat Ajax 2-0, you know, the night after the Manchester bombing. Very sombre occasion. But no, you don't want to be. You want to be in the Champions League, but if you don't perform in those 6 matches, then you don't deserve to be in it. So, you know, the right team's got to be picked. You know, the crowd will be up for it, especially with a tribute to Sir Bobby, who obviously you tribute to before. They had the pleasure to meet him quite a few times when I worked at United in the 90s, early 90s, all the way through to the 2000s. Gentleman, proper footballer. Not just for United, you know, he's one of those players, for me, I don't really get on the England thing. I never had them, but he's probably the greatest ever English player. You know,
Yeah,
if you go around the world, people will say who do you support, and the first thing they say is Bobby Charlton.
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? They say Bobby Charlton because he's known around the gentleman was never in any either. Played the game, both feet, cracking player, and rest in peace, Bobby. He'll be sadly missed. You know, he's always got the away games. You'd see him coming out or going in with his wife, and it was at every game. And he loved United. And I remember chatting to him in Moscow before the game. You
wow,
know, great bloke. We sadly missed not just at Old Trafford, but throughout the world of football. But rest in peace, Bobby. You know, true legend. The word legend gets given out too easy for me,
yeah.
but that man was a proper legend. And like I say, rest in peace, Bobby. You know, you'll be up there now having a kick around with Georgia. You know what I mean? But no, he'll be sadly missed, and God bless him and God bless his family.
Yeah, that's that really nice touching words there, Webby, for that you've chosen of yourself. I mean, yeah, like you said, I do believe that the word legends get thrown about a lot, and Sir Bobby Charlton was probably the definition of the word legend. I mean, again, homegrown talent, part of the Busby Babes, and just everything else the way he did it throughout his career, winning the Ballon d'Or, what he did for England, and he's just probably one of the greatest English players who's ever played the game. And yeah, obviously Bobby Charlton will be sadly missed. And moving on to the game against Copenhagen, and for me, I think this is a massive debate that we could have here, Webber, and that is Garnacho for me must start. Now, I don't know how you feel, but you have shown your frustration in Rashford in recent weeks. Now, would you stick with Marcus or would you experiment with Garnacho in this type of game?
Well, I don't think we can experiment, mate. It's too much of a crucial game to experiment. But uh, I didn't see the England game the other night against Italy, but I heard he played well, scored a great goal. And that's what I thought I'd kick him on. You know, apparently he played well, scored a great goal. And like I've said before, if you're a centre forward, you score goals, it breeds confidence. And if you play well as well, it's a double bone. And he expected him to kick on against Sheffield United last night, but he never.
Yeah,
He never kicked on, you know, which was disappointing. Uh, Disappointing with Anthony now. I know he's been away and all that, but we look more balanced. But he's got to do more. So if he comes, and I don't like seeing Marcus play on the right. You know, he doesn't play. For me, he plays on the left. He can play down the middle, but if it is a preference of choice, he plays on the left. So does he come in? Does he go on the right? It's a massive decision for the manager. I think he will stick with Marcus, and that's not against Garnacho. You know, when he come on in the cup final, you know, he got the Reds off the seat. You know, he brought us back into the game against City, and when he's come on, he's done well this year. We look a better team, but I just think that he'll go with Marcus, and I think he'll go with Anthony. I hope I'm wrong that he does give Garnacho a start. You know, because the kid goes at players. You know, he doesn't mess about. Looking to go back, he looks to go at players, and you know he's going to be a great talent. He's only young still, but for me, I hope he starts, but I don't think he will. I think he'll go Marcus on the left and Anthony on the right on Tuesday night.
yeah. I mean, Simon Davis has said here that Garnacho all day long for me. Rashford isn't cutting it for me at the moment. Now, again, I can see your frustration, Simon, And for me, I do kind of agree with you. Rashford just isn't cutting it at the moment. But, you know, we know the classic phrase, form is temporary, class is permanent. We saw what Rashford was capable of last season. And I think Rashford shown by getting 40 goals in, well, 40 goal contributions in all competitions, whatever it was. He had a ridiculous season last season for Manchester United. And it's just the way he's playing at the moment, the overthinking, he doesn't have any confidence. I mean, last night he had that opportunity where he could have hit it first time. The goalkeeper was completely out of position, but he decides to pass it to whoever it was, whether it was Hoyland or Fernandez. I can't remember who he passed it to, but Rashford last season would have just smashed that right into the back of the net or at least attempted on goal. But Rashford at the moment, he isn't actually shooting, and I don't know whether that's an instruction by Ten Hag to pass it to Hoyland or pass it to the players in the box more. I'm not too sure, but there's something going on with Rashford, and I don't know if it's the instructions of Eric Ten Hag or it is down to his form. What do you think, Webber?
I just think, looking at his body language, right, he doesn't like, I wouldn't say he was as bad as he was the previous season when he obviously had that injury, he was carrying that injury, his back injury. Like I said, I just think like goals with centre forwards, it breeds confidence. And I thought like after the England goal, obviously seeing the goal on the telly, it was a great goal. But I really expect him to kick on against Sheffield United. As a centre forward in the Premier League, if you're going to kick on, it's going to be against a team at the bottom of the league where you're going to have more chances. They're not at the bottom of the league because they're that good, they're at the bottom of the league because they're rubbish. You know what I mean? Because they've not won a game. So expecting that fullback must be thinking, Christ, Rashford's he scored a great goal for England, and he didn't do anything,
Yeah.
And it's disappointing because I look at last season, all those goals, and obviously without his goals, he would have got to finals and got into the Champions League. But his performances wasn't great last season. The goals covered some. I don't say it was poor as he was this season, but he wasn't great. I just think his decision making is poor, his passing's poor. He's pulling out the tackles. He can't head a ball, So, I don't know. I think maybe I'm wrong. He could score an hat-trick Tuesday night and then he starts playing well. But we need him to start scoring goals because our goal ratio is terrible at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we should have scored in 4 or 5, but we've got to start putting his chance when you're right. Let's say last season he would have hit that ball first time. You look at the goal he scored at the Emirates.
Yeah.
Only a couple of months ago, whatever it was, 6-7 weeks ago. Great goal, and you expect him to kick on. But for me, it's like a step forward, 2 steps back with him. Is there something wrong? I don't know, but hopefully Tuesday night he'll prove us wrong, and let's see what happens. But I think he'll stick with Marcus.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think he will because Eric Ten Hag seems to have a lot of trust in Rashford, in Fernandez, and I think that's why he's sticking with him. I mean, you see him backing Andre Onana. Obviously, Andre Onana has received a lot of criticism off the people in the media, off certain fans, and Eric Ten Hag throughout the week turned around and said, this keeper will come good, just give him time. And I think that's why he's constantly playing the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Rashford because Eric Ten Hag knows the quality of these players. I mean, we know the quality of Fernandes, we know the quality of Rashford. Onana, not so much because he's a new signing, unless you watched him at his previous clubs. But I just think that Eric Ten Hag, he is playing a dangerous game at the moment. He is sticking with these players and it is making games a lot more difficult. Like when I say drop Rashford for Garnacho, I don't mean not playing the entire game. You can bring him on off the bench and maybe that will, give Rashford a bit more of a foot up his arse and he might actually impact more because, you've got a hungry Garnacho running the defence all game and then you've got a fresh Rashford and Eric Ten Hag's just there, like I said to McTominay, just go and score, just do what you're good at. And no doubt that's what Rashford might impact off because we've seen that when Garnacho comes off the bench, he seems very threatening. Obviously, defenders have been run at by United majority of the game, and then they've got a young Garnacho, and they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, here comes Garnacho now. And then I think that might be the same with Rashford. Obviously, we know Rashford's very fast. We know that he's very good at beating defenders one-on-one. So I would maybe experiment with that, but I do agree with you, Webby, where if it is Eric Ten Hag, I do think that Eric Ten Hag will go with Rashford and Antony as our wingers. Now, injury updates, obviously, last night was the first time Manchester United played with a more balanced back line. Obviously, it was with Lindelof, Dalot, Maguire and Evans. What did you thought of the defence last night, Webber?
Thought it was shaky in some parts. I thought Harold Maguire was superb. He took a lot of criticism. And sometimes rightly so. But fair play to him. He's not held behind it when he's coming. He's done a job. And I thought last night, and I said before the match that to my mate that Maguire plays, and he's done well. He's going back to his old club, his old area, and fair play to him. Still a bit strange, Malacia. What's he actually got? No one's heard anything.
Yeah.
Where is he? What injuries he got? He's not been seen. Like saying to have three left backs injured all at once, you can maybe have one, maybe two, then one will stay, then one won't be far behind. And obviously, I just think that Lindelof, if you probably said to him playing goal to get a game, he'd play in goal or he'd play up front. He's not a left back. I know he's played at other clubs in the country at right back, which I thought he might have done because Dallow's played a few games at left back. But that's what the manager shows. But I just thought he struggled position wise and his passing. When he was getting forward, he got caught in a few offside positions, which was very, very like schoolboyish for me. I just thought we looked all over. I thought Johnny Evans was steady, but you know what you're going to get with Johnny. He's a class player. People said to me, Johnny Evans is crap, he's rubbish. What's he do? Johnny Evans is class, you know what I mean? He's not got the pace, but he can read a game. Steve Bruce was the same. He never had any pace, but he read a game. And it's lucky we got Johnny, because Martinez was never fit. Varane for me, he's like an oil rigger. He'll do one, he'll be out for four. You can't trust him. So, but to be honest, fair play to Maguire. He's come back. A lot of people might have just threw the towel in and said, listen, that's me done. Just sit and get the money and disappear or go to another club or not do anything. But Harry Maguire, superb. Evans, class. I'm not the greatest fan of Delo. I think he can be got at. But what can we do? Van der Sar is the number one for me when he's fit, but he's not fit at the moment, so he's playing him. But, I've got to look at, some of these players, do they need a rest? But we can't force him a rest. We've got two massive games now, Tuesday and Sunday, which could defy our season already. So let's wait and see. It would have been nice to have an easy game at one night and probably bring some of the players off who are probably going to play. I think Casemiro is obviously suspended for Tuesday. He'll probably start against City. It's just a massive week for the club, and the manager's got to get it right, and the players have got to be up for it, because if it goes wrong, the manager's head will roll, and I don't want that to happen, because the pressure we put on him if we come away Tuesday and Sunday with two defeats. It's Manchester United Football Club, the biggest club in the world. You lose the game of Tiddlywinks, people want sacking. You know what I mean? So get it right, pick the right team. I think we'll be okay for Tuesday.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously with Sheffield United, the reason why we saw Maguire have such a sensational performance, I gave Maguire my man of the match, but I was also debating to give it Diogo Dalot because I'm with you. Wan-Bissaka for me is the best right back at the club. But right now, Wan-Bissaka's out, so Diogo Dalot is doing a shift. And I liked a lot because going forward, he has proven himself. He is very good creatively. I mean, that wonder goal last night, he has got that in his locker, and he did that the same in pre-season as well, if you watch the pre-season games. But defensively, he does worry me, and he is very shaky because he commits himself too far forward, and either doesn't have the pace to get back, or he's committed himself that far forward. He's just way too far behind when it comes on the counter attack. And I do like it a lot, and I celebrated that goal because it's the winning goal, and in what fashion it was an amazing goal. But at the end of the day, the lot kind of it's hard to explain with the lot because I do like him as a player. I don't want to have an agenda against any player at Manchester United, but some players you just don't like, and some players you just don't like their attitude or the play style, and it's just up in the air. But I don't like seeing fans slagging off Maguire after a great performance because we know Maguire, when he plays against a team that doesn't pressure and he's got time on the ball, he's brilliant and he can read a game really well, much like Johnny. That's why we saw such a good performance off them two last night. But with Copenhagen, do you know much about them, Webby?
Not got a clue. I'll be truthful. That's nothing against him, I did try and watch a bit of that match when they played in Galatasaray. I think there was the early kick-off. But what you get with these European teams is solid. They're going to be hard to break down. You've got to be patient. You know what I mean? It's going to be a very, very tough game. I couldn't tell you one player who plays for him, but I know they'll be organised. I know they'll be up for it. It'll be their biggest game. I remember a few years back when we grew them in the 90s and we had a great start to the group and Fergie changed the team. I remember going up to Celtic, who was getting beat there. And we went over to Copenhagen and he put a mixed match team out. I think we must have a big game at the weekend. And at that point, Ollie was our main centre forward. And we're getting beat 1-0. And he brings Ollie on, chasing the game in bad conditions. Ollie pulls his hamstring bad. He's out for 3 months. We lose the league.
Wow.
You know what I mean? That's why I always say, go with your best team, get 2 or 3 up, then bring them off. You know, don't play your best team available every game. You know, don't rest them or anything. You 2 or 3-0 up and it's won. You know, then bring them off. But I remember that night. So Copenhagen's going to be an hard team. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. You know, apparently give Bayern Munich a decent run for the money last time. So I'm expecting a very, very physical and tough game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, that the way Copenhagen play, it was they play kind of standard 4-3-3, and they, like you said, they're very well organised, and I do believe that 2 of Hoyland's brothers play for him, and that is one of Hoyland's first clubs as well. So it'd be quite nice for Hoyland, obviously meeting up with his brothers and playing up against his original team. So that would be obviously nice for Hoyland, and maybe he'll have a bit more motive and drive to perform even better. To see, like, look how far I've come, and want to show their fans. But again, I'm like you, I don't really know much about Copenhagen. I do know that they're doing all right in the Champions League. Obviously, they're in the similar situation like us. They haven't accumulated many points, but they do. Well, let's see what Dean said. Dean said that look how good Villa are playing now. I mean, as far as I know with Villa, last time I checked, it was 1-0 to Villa. I don't know what the current score is. If anyone can let me know in
I
the
think it
comments.
was 2. Last time I seen it was 2-1, I think.
Oh, there you go then. So,
2-1 for Villa.
yeah.
I'll just check now while we're speaking.
No worries.
Hang on a minute, mate. 4-1.
4-1 Villa.
4-1 Villa. Yeah, 4-1 Villa. Yeah.
Bloody hell. Right then. Well, yeah. I mean, here's a question for you, Webby. I mean, I saw this question. Obviously, Ivan Toney is a massive player that everyone's wanting in January when his suspension is up. But out of Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins, who would you have at United?
I like the kid Watkins. I like,
Yeah, me
you
too.
know. Don't get me wrong, I like Tony. I think he's an handful, you know. He knows where the net is a good player. I just think that teams like Brentford, you know, because I think he will go, you know, I think they'll say, hang on a minute, let's cash in on him. There's a lot of stories that he could go to Arsenal. You know, Arsenal have got the money. They need a centre forward because, you know, they got the kid from City and that, in neck, what's he called? The young
Nketiah.
lad. Yeah, I don't think they're going to win you the league. You want an out and out forward. I think and he'll be fresh as well in January. He'll be fresh, you know. But you're talking big though. You're probably talking about 60, 70, 80 million in today's market. Have
Yeah.
Arsenal got the resources? I think they have. I think he wants to stay in London. I think he's an Arsenal fan as well, which helps. You know what I mean? So I like Watkins. You know, another kid come from Brentford. You know, they pull some players out of that Brentford. You know, but big fans of both of them. But I just like that Watkins. I just think he's a very, very smart player. Movement
Yeah.
around the box. I think he's a very good player. But Villa won't let him go. You know, Villa, like saying they've got a good manager. They go in places. I think that's 12 wins at home now on the bounce for them in the Premier League. So fair play to them. You know what I mean? Because they're a sitting giant, Villa. If they get it right, they can get it right. You know what I mean? So no fair play because I expected West Ham to do something there today, but obviously with a score 4-1, fair play Villa.
Yeah, I mean Villa as well. Obviously, like you said, they're a sitting giant, and Villa as well with a manager like Unai Emery. He's building a project, and he won't let a player like Watkins go. He won't let a player like Diaby or Douglas Luiz go. These players are key to his like system, and Watkins. I mean, again, English player. No doubt, he'll probably like Villa would probably ask about 80 million for Watkins, wouldn't they? Like in today's market. So I would love a player like Watkins, but you know what? I do back Rasmus Højlund. Obviously, Rasmus Højlund is still very raw. Eric Ten Hag is probably going to mould him into a complete striker, a striker who can do everything. He's good in the air, he's physical, and he's got pace behind him. So the way that Højlund can create himself and establish himself as a striker, he could become a very complete forward. But fans have just got to give him time, and I think that in a game like this against Copenhagen, I mean, Rasmus Højlund currently is top scorer or joint top scorer in the Champions League. He scored 3 goals. So I think that he'll be looking at that and wanting to add to his tally, and especially against his old club. And it's a must win for Manchester United. And I just think that, in all honesty, Manchester United are going to win this. I'm going to say a 3-0 victory for Manchester United. So this goes to the next segment about score predictions and predicted 11. So Webby, your score predictions and predicted 11, please.
I'd say 2-1 United. I say Nana, Delo, Reguilon, Maguire, Varane. Midfield of Amrabat, Mount, Bruno. Up front, I go Rashford, Ireland, and Anthony.
Yeah, that's the same 11 that I'd go for as well. I mean, I was a bit confused why Ten Hag didn't actually play Mount in the game against Sheffield United. I mean, maybe that's a precaution. Maybe he's saving him for Tuesday's game. I'm not too sure. But a player we've not seen in recent times is Hannibal. Now, I think Hannibal was doing really well when he was having them brief cameos, but all of a sudden he's now been completely took out the side. I mean, what are your thoughts on Hannibal?
I thought he did well against Palace in the League Cup, and then he got hooked off against Galatasaray. Was it Galatasaray at half time? He got hooked off.
Yeah.
He's a good player. I just think he's got to wait his time. The moment will come where he'll get another run in the team. I just think he's a good player. He's got that tenacity. He can play football. He wants to play. He wants to win. He wants to play every game. Probably disappointed when he got fingered off. But you see with these young ones here, they're not really going to kick up a fuss, which in my eyes it should do. You know what I mean? I remember years ago when Fergie used to always pull Park off. Jason Park was mint. Yeah. And I felt so sorry for him because towards the end of his United career, he was playing in lesser teams and he wasn't affecting games. But in his day, he was probably the first name on the team sheet. You know, Jason Park, colossal player. What did we pay for him? 4 million, something like that. Unbelievable player. But no, he's got to wait his time. He'll get more chances. You know, if he bides his time, he'll get the game times he needs because he's got that many matches coming up. And like you say, with the injuries and suspensions, he's just got to be patient. You know, and he will get another chance soon, hopefully.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. And Hannibal is one of them players where I don't think he's like when people say, "Oh, Hannibal isn't a great player." I'd say that he isn't a Manchester United player, by the way he is, but he's one of them players. He's a workhorse. He's a player that you need in your squad, a player that will come on and run around and give you that energy. And with a player like with Hannibal, I think that you should incorporate him into the team. You should see what he's made of and see him impacting games because, like we said with Garnacho and Rashford before that, if you bring on Hannibal in the midfield when a team's try to break you down and just pass it around you and stuff, like Hannibal will be great against City, in my opinion. Like City, they're very composed. They pass the ball a lot. They're very well in possession. And I think a player like Hannibal, who will probably go on, press him like mad, probably kick him a few times, and like he's very aggressive in his play style. I think that Hannibal would be a good option against City, not starting wise, but definitely as a substitution. And I hope that he is involved in this game against Copenhagen. But obviously, we've spoke about the Copenhagen game. What are your thoughts on the upcoming City game? Obviously, I know we have to get this game out of Copenhagen out of the way first. But again, Man City, they got another sending off against who was they played?
Brighton.
Brighton. So I think it was a Kanja who got sent off. So I think that's quite big news. Do you think that will play into United's hands a bit, or do you think that they've got so much rotation that it won't affect them?
No, it won't affect him. You know, if a player gets injured or suspended, he just pulls someone else. You know, John Stones, who's not played at all this year, he's back now. You know, he's a good player. It hurts me saying, but you know what you get with City. And I just spoke to my City mate before on the phone. He's come to see me Saturday. Always comes to see me before the derby with his grandson, and he said they've been bobbins this year, but they're right near the top or the top. I'm not sure. You know, he said the first 6 games when he'd not lost the game, he said they were terrible. They were terrible, but I think teams are just feared by going out against them, you know, before the ball's kicked, like United used to do. United used to be 3-0 up in the tunnel before the ball was kicked. And that's what I think is with City, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong, they had a good team and broke me out what they done last year, but you got to hold your hands up. They got a decent manager, he's well backed, what a proper run club. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be very hard. I know last year they absolutely pummeled us at City, and I think they took the foot off the gas at the 6-3, which flattens us a bit. But then we beat them at Old Trafford 2-1. We couldn't get the ball off them at all. We go 1-0 behind and we scored 2 goals. So there you go. So you know, it's going to be an hard game, City. Oh, City was an hard game when they were crap and skin. You know what I mean? They always turn up against us. So, no, you know, we've got to be up for it. You know, I'd take a point now against City all day long. I'd take a
Definitely.
point, and that's not me being negative. I'm being positive with that.
Yeah. It's not even being positive or negative. It's being realistic. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna say that I'll take a point against Manchester City, then I think that, like, again, last season we beat him at Old Trafford. We beat him 2-1. And what did we do? We completely man-marked Haaland. We cut out all the through balls from De Bruyne. De Bruyne's still injured, so that's a bit of a positive. But the way they've been playing Alvarez in this more 10 or false 9, like second striker type role, no doubt he'll be very dangerous. I do really rate Alvarez. I really wanted him at United when United were linked to him. Like, I think it was the season when Ralph Rangnick was our interim manager, and he recommended someone like Alvarez, and he also recommended who else was it? It went on to another player, but he recommended a few players, and Julian Alvarez was on that list. And I like Alvarez. I like telling the story about Alvarez because it was on Football Manager. I don't know if you play that, Webby, but a game called Football Manager. And I was Salford City. I was Gary Neville as the manager, and I scouted Alvarez, and I've loved him, and I brought him to Salford, and then he ended up winning the Ballon d'Or for me like 3 seasons later. And then when I saw him in real life for River Plate, before he went to City, I was dead excited about him. And when United were apparently going to get him, I was losing my shit because it was like a dream come true. But then City got him, and he's showing that he's a very good player in the other side of Manchester, which is very hurtful for a fan like me who's a massive admirer of his. But Simon Davis, who is a City fan, has said that Gundogan and Mahrez can't believe City let them both go at once.
Well, we Gundogan, obviously, he wanted to change. He wanted to go to Spain. Manes just went for the money. You know, Manes was a great player. So was Gundogan. I think City tried hard, from what I believe, to make them both stay. But if your head's turned by money, your head's turned by Barcelona, then you're going to go. And it's, you know what I mean? And to me, they've not replaced him, you know. But let's see what happens. Derbies are different. You know, you could be bottom of the league, could be top of the league. It's all about who wants it. You know, I remember going to Derby when we were flying high and City beat us 5-1 at Main Road. You know, they had that many local lads and they knew what it meant to them, Derby Day. So let's wait and see. Let's get Tuesday out of the way, and then let's make sure we pick up no injuries and we're all ready for Sunday, because it will be a very, very, very difficult game against the other ones.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, pal. And yeah, I really appreciate you coming on as always. And
anytime, pal.
Obviously, if anyone hasn't already, obviously go and subscribe to the Webby and O'Neill channel. I mean, amazing channel. And again, they so much inspiration to a channel like mine. I just really appreciate Webby coming on and doing these videos with me as always. But Webby, you'll be at the game on Tuesday, won't you?
Yeah, I'll see you. Come and see us when you get to the ground, mate.
Yeah, will do, pal. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching this evening. Obviously, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and let's hope we can get there before Christmas. But anyway, thank you for watching, and up Manchester United. Thank you for watching.
Cheers.